Guys, it's Jess, and welcome back to another episode of Butchered True Crime in 2023. Whew. Like, wild. It's wild that it's 2023, but I'm so excited, and I hope you guys checked out the last video that we just uploaded. Well, Coral just uploaded. Coral is the new half of Butchered True Crime, and I am so excited to be doing this with her. We are so excited for this year, and we have so many awesome videos and so much cool stuff coming up and planned for this year that we are stoked about. And yeah, we're just so excited, and we thank you so much for being this Butchered fam and for supporting us. And yeah, we're just excited. It's 2023. Yay! Anyways, so let's just go ahead and jump into today's story, because now today's story, it's short, but it's the theories behind it. I mean, it's obviously the case is really sad and disturbing, but it's the theories behind it. It's like got my mind. So yeah, we're gonna get right into this. Okay. So now, today's story, I'm going to start off with talking about our victims. Now, our victims' names, and you will see me glancing down at my notes because I want to make sure I get this right, because you guys deserve the best version of me. Yeah, you do. You do. So yes, we're going to be talking about a couple, and that is Fred and Edwina Rogers. Fred was born in January 19th, 1884. So we're going back. And Edwina was actually born October 8th, 1892. Now, they married and would go on to have a son named Charles Roger. And Charles was born December 30th, 1921. So let's talk about Charles, okay? Because there's not much information on Fred and Edwina, but there is some info on good old Charles boy. I shouldn't say good. You'll figure out why shortly. Now, like young childhood, there is not much information for Charles. So we're going to skip to Charles going to college. So Charles went on to enroll in Texas A&M in 1942, but shortly after dropped out and enrolled in the University of Houston, where he would go on to get a bachelor's degree in nuclear science. So this dude was smart. And there's many people that they do come out and they say that. They're like, he's so smart. He knows 7 languages, like really, really, really intelligent man, okay? Rogers would go on to be a pilot in World War II in the Navy. And he also served in the Office of Naval Intelligence. So, I mean, you can just tell, like, just based off his credentials here, like, yeah, he's a smart guy. After the war, and I'm probably going to butcher this word, and I'm sorry, but I tried for so long, and I hope I am saying it right. But after the war, he worked as a seismologist for Shell Oil Company for 9 years, actually. And he abruptly quit that job in 1957 without giving any explanation. Just, I'm done. Bye. Now, this is something I'm going to say right here, but we're going to touch on a little bit at the end of the video. So in the mid-1950s, Roger actually went and joined the Civil Air Patrol, where he reportedly met David Ferry, who was an alleged conspirator in the assassination of JFK. So remember that, and we're going to jump back to that later on. So let's move forward here to June 23rd, 1965. The police station, they get a call. Ding, ding. That's my best ringing, sorry. For a welfare check to be done on Fred and Edwina, Charles's parents. And it was just by like a relative. It was not by Charles himself. So a relative calls, asks for a welfare check to be done. The police go to their house. They're knocking. I can't do a knock noise. There you go. Knocking on the door, and nobody answers. So after a little while, the cops just bust in. They just kick it in. Wild, right? Because that could not happen nowadays. Different times, people, different times. So the police are in the house. They're looking around. They're like, Fred, Edwina. Nobody's answering. So one of the cops, he goes over to the fridge. He opens it up, and he's like, wow, they got a lot of hog meat here. A lot of hog meat. Yeah, that's a lot of hog meat. And as he's closing the fridge door, he glances down, and you know those clear vegetable bins that are usually at the bottom of your fridge? Yeah. He glances down, and he sees two heads, two human heads. Not two hog heads, two human heads. So he's like, oh shit. Those are two heads. And he's called for the other guy, and he's like, we got something's going on here. So obviously crime scene comes out, medical examiner comes out, they're searching the whole place for clues and stuff, and they're talking to the neighbors, and the neighbors are like, yeah, their son Charles lived there, but like we never saw him. The guy was a recluse. Nobody ever saw him. And in fact, the only way that he communicated with his parents, who he lived with, was by slipping notes underneath his bedroom door. That was it. Just slipping notes. And again, neighbors hardly ever saw him. And if he did come out of the house, it was like late at night. So it's almost like he didn't want to be seen. So they're looking around the house for clues and stuff. Now they realize that whoever had done this, I'm going to back up. They can't find Charles. Charles can't find him. So they're looking around the house, and they realize that whoever did this cleaned up very, very well, except for the blood that was on the doorknob going to Charles' bedroom. Yeah, there was a lot of blood on the doorknob. So the medical examiner, he's looking over the bodies, and he's like, whoa, whoever did this knew what they were doing. Okay, so now the medical examiner, he's looking over the pieces of bodies that he has here, and he's trying to figure out how they died. First and foremost, how did they die? Okay, well, he concluded, with investigators, of course, that Edwina had actually been shot in the head, execution style. But Fred, he had been beaten to death. He had his eyes gouged out, and he had his genitalia removed. Clearly Fred's was not quick. And then whoever did this then brought the bodies into the bathroom and drained the bodies of blood, and then would go on to dismember them. And the medical examiner said whoever did this knew what they were doing. Like, it was clean cuts. Clean. And but they couldn't find any of the organs. Like, there were no organs around, just like meat and heads. And they later found organs in the local sewer. So whoever did this clearly had flushed the organs down the toilet. So they say, the investigators say. So clearly the investigators are like, well, we need to speak to Charles. Like, has anybody seen Charles? Like, we gotta talk to this guy. We need Charles. Are you there? So yeah, they can't find Charles. So nationwide manhunt for Charles Rogers. Like, Charles, we got some questions about the heads in your fridge that are your parents. Can you give us a call? But obviously he does not. So by the next morning, Charles is obviously their number one suspect. They're looking for 43-year-old Charles. Now, come to find out that it was said that Charles's parents were actually from a very young age, extremely physically and emotionally abusive to Charles. So Charles is being abused by both of his parents well into adulthood. And actually the house that all three of them lived in together, Charles actually owned. But his parents were taking out all these loans in Charles's name and then pocketing the cash. And they were just really like emotionally and financially abusing Charles. They were forging his signatures on deeds of, homes and property that he owned. And yeah, they were financially abusing him as well. So a lot of people suspect that Charles just he reached his breaking point and he just snapped. Okay, so there's this nationwide manhunt for Charles. Nobody can find him. They never do find him. So in 1975, he was actually legally declared dead. When they don't find people that they're looking for, somebody that goes missing after so long, there's a death certificate issued. So if there's any property or an estate or anything, that can all be settled, closed out. And obviously every human being, like when we die, everybody needs a death certificate. So let's go into some theories here. First, I'm going to talk about a couple from Houston in 1997 named Hugh and Martha Gardner. Now, they actually began investigating this case known as the Icebox murders, and which is still to this day an open case. They even self-published an ebook. So they're investigating this case and investigating Charles, of course, from what they can. And the Gardners say, and I'm going to read from my notes here so I can get this right for you guys. The Gardners say that Charles was physically and emotionally abused by his parents well into adulthood, and that at the end of their lives, they were defrauding him by forging his signatures on deeds of land that he owned, which I had mentioned. Charles owned the house that they lived in, not his parents, and Edwina had apparently taken out loans and pocketed the money. And according to the authors, after the murders, they think that Charles escaped to Central America, where he would later die. Again, these are just theories. There's no proof of him going to Central America. It's a good theory, but it's still a theory. And this is another theory that has got my mind racing, and I think would be a really awesome video for Coral and I to cover. It's the assassination of JFK. So if that's a video you want to see, please leave us a comment and let us know, because I think we all know, a lot of people have different theories and speculate, and I think it would be a good video. We can all talk and say what we think happened in the assassination of JFK. Okay, so this is another theory. So Roger's life was actually documented in the 1992 book titled The Man on the Grassy Knoll, written by John Craig and Philip Rogers. According to their work, Rogers was a CIA agent who was postulated to have impersonated Lee Harvey Oswald in Mexico City, and along with Charles Harrelson was one of two shooters involved in the assassination of President Kennedy, which kind of goes back to the Houston couple's theory that he escaped to Central America where he would later die. They're saying he went to Mexico City, Central America. So the authors of this book, The Man on the Grassy Knoll, they contended that Rogers, Harrelson, and Chauncey Holt were the three tramps arrested in Dealey Plaza after the assassination of Kennedy. and that Rogers murdered his parents because his mother was tracking his many telephone calls. Publishers Weekly reviewed this book, and they said the authors do a workmanlike job with their thesis, but the degree of poetic license in terms of reconstructed dialogue and attributed thought seems excessive here, and sourcing is virtually non-existent, because again, there's not that much background information on this case. Assassination buffs, however, will welcome the book for its novelty value and its easy readability. So, I mean, I think that's like such an interesting theory. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. But I do know that I definitely want to do a video on JFK, because I think that would be so interesting for us all to get in and talk about. And I want to know what Coral thinks about JFK. And yeah, so again, this story was short, not sweet. No, definitely not sweet. Charles. And yeah, that's it for today's story. And I really like to know what you all think. Do you think if, did he take off and flee to Central America where he died? Was he part of the JFK assassination? Like, why do you think he murdered his parents? It's wild. It's wild. And I don't know what to think either. But I found the whole case extremely interesting, and that he was never found. Like, nobody ever found him. Now, I do obviously think he killed his parents. The fact that his parents are found dead and he's never found again. I mean, come on. So I do believe, in my opinion, that he did murder his parents. Probably got sick of all the physical, emotional, financial abuse and just had enough. Do I think he was part of the JFK assassination? I don't know. I would definitely have to dive into that a lot more to really have an opinion on that. I do think that from what I've read so far here, linking him to it is very interesting, and I can see why some people would believe that. I just can't say with certainty what my opinion is on that just yet. So yeah, that's it for today's story. Please, subscribe, like this video, leave us a comment. It helps us so much. And yeah, Coral and I, again, we're so excited for this year. We have so many awesome's a weird word when we're talking about true crime and murder. But you know what I mean. Like, we got some stories to tell you guys. So yeah, if you want us to cover a story too, drop us a comment. Let us know. You can send us an email to butcheredtruecrime@gmail.com. I'll put it right down here. Head on over to our Instagram page at butchered_truecrime. I will put it right here. Yes. And follow us so you can stay up to date on all the cool, fun stuff that we're doing. And yeah, please let us know what you guys think, who you want us to cover, what you want us to talk about. It doesn't have to be murder either. Like, I would really, this year, we plan on getting into missing persons cases a lot more, some conspiracy theories, some just different stuff as well. So anything that you guys want to hear like that, let us know, because yeah, we want to get you guys involved as much as possible. And if you guys are local to South Florida and you'd be interested in coming on the podcast with us, again, send us a comment, send us an email, and let us know. We would love to start having, some special guests on the show with us to hear and get you guys involved here. So yeah, thank you so much for checking out this video, and thank you so much for supporting Coral and I. I'm so happy to have her. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Enjoyed, again, weird word when I'm talking about heads in a fridge, but you know what I mean. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you next time. Bye, friends. Bye. 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 Bye.